What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler and can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Wednesday, July 29th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as first baseman Vinny Pasquantino was placed on the 10-day IL with wrist soreness. It's a very concerning development for Pasquantino, given he underwent hamate surgery earlier this year. The injury suggests that he's still feeling the effects of that injury despite the surgery. And with the Royals all but out of contention, Pasquantino may not make it back this season. With him out, Salvador Perez should take over every day at first base, allowing Carter Jensen to get everyday playing time at catcher, and Josh Rojas to platoon with Starling Marte at DH. Outfielder John Rave was recalled to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, reliever Cole Sulser was placed on the 15-day IL with back spasms, and reliever Chris Roycroft was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. And lastly, outfielder Byron Buxton was placed on the 10-day IL with a hip impingement. He just returned from the IL with the same injury less than 2 weeks ago, so Buxton figures to be due for an absence longer than the minimum 10 days due to the recurring nature of his hip injury. Luke Keeschel will shift to center field with Buxton out, allowing Alan Rodin to see an influx of playing time in right field. Shortstop Tristan Gray was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. In terms of transactions, outfielder Joe Stinson Garcia was recalled from the minors by the Pirates. He'll be on the short side of a center field platoon with Jake Mangum. Outfielder Tyler Callahan was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, closing pitcher Edwin Diaz was activated from the 60-day IL after missing the past 3+ months following surgery to remove loose bodies from his elbow. Diaz will return to being the Dodgers' full-time closer, as reliever Charlie Barnes was designated for assignment in a corresponding move. Next, starting pitcher Hayden Wesneski was activated from the 60-day IL today to start in LA against the Angels. Wesneski has missed all season following Tommy John surgery, which he underwent last May. Against the Angels yesterday, he tossed 5 2/3 innings, allowing 7 hits and 3 earned runs, walking 2 while striking out 4, inducing 10 whiffs with 30% CSW across 79 pitches. And as expected, Wesneski leaned heavily on his signature sweeper, while his heaters were just looking to avoid damage. I don't think Wesneski is someone you need to run to the wire for right now, though. Prior to his injury, he was somebody that had a little bit of potential. We'll see what the Astros can pull out of him here in the final couple of months to get us excited about drafting him in 2027. Reliever Miguel Ulola was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, we had another Tommy John returnee as starting pitcher AJ Smith-Shawver was activated from the 60-day IL to start in New York against the Mets. He underwent Tommy John surgery last June, has missed all season, and made his season debut here in Queens, tossing 4 1/3 innings, allowing 4 hits and 2 earned runs, walking 2 while striking out 4, inducing 2 whiffs with 23% CSW across 69 pitches. And Smith-Shawver was throwing a tick harder at 97 miles per hour, making his heater pretty dope. It's got 2-plane movement, and at 97 miles per hour, that's got to be pretty tough to hit, but it didn't have much support outside of a volatile splitter, and that's always really been the problem with Smith-Shawver. He doesn't really have the secondaries to support his fastball, and his splitter is very volatile. So you got a couple of pitches that didn't have the ability to induce whiffs because they weren't really helping each other and they don't have a tertiary offering to support them. So Smith-Shawver, just 2 whiffs here. He was the 27th man here in the doubleheader for the Braves, so he's going to go right back to the minor league. So there's no reason to grab him right now. Next, reliever Jeremiah Estrada was activated from the 15-day IL after missing almost 2 months with knee inflammation. He'll return to being a high leverage reliever for the Padres. Reliever Matt Waldron was designated for assignment in a corresponding move, and I really hope he gets picked up by some other team because we need a knuckleballer, at least one, in baseball. And lastly, we have a trade that came in late in the day as catcher Logan O'Hoppe and reliever Chase Silseth were traded by the Angels to the Rangers in exchange for third baseman Angel Arredondo, who has become the Angels' number 27 prospect according to MLB Pipeline. The 19-year-old Arredondo has recorded a 113 WRC plus at low A. As for the major league pieces, Silseth will support a bullpen that has needed help all year in Texas, while Ohapi is expected to be optioned to the minors immediately. I guess there's some validity to that, as catchers really need a lot of time to get up to speed with the pitching staff. So for now, the Rangers will roll with veterans Elias Diaz and Austin Wynns behind the plate until they determine that Ohapi is ready to mesh with the pitching staff. As for the Angels, catcher Travis d'Arnaud was activated from the 60-day IL after missing nearly 3 months with plantar fasciitis. He'll be on the short side of a catching platoon with Tyler Heineman. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Jake Irvin is expected to be activated from the 60-day IL today to start in Atlanta. Irvin has missed the past 2+ months following a shoulder strain. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Wednesday, a day in which we had a packed slate of 16 games due to a doubleheader between the Braves and the Mets. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with catcher Daniel Susac, who helped the Giants to win against the Brewers, going 2 for 4 with 3 runs, 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in, and a walk for good measure. They were his first 2 home runs of the year, and the first one traveled to 411 feet at 103 miles per hour, while the second one went 379 feet at 97 miles per hour. Susac seemed to be the backstop that gave the Giants confidence to move on from Patrick Bailey, but since then, Susac's gotten injured and superseded by Drew Kavanaugh. Susac is now on the short side of a platoon, and he's been in that position for a while, but he had a performance on Wednesday that could net him more playing time moving forward, as he belt the first 2 home runs of his career. The 2022 19th overall pick has rarely displayed offensive upside throughout his professional career, and Susac's underlying metrics don't suggest that that's going to change anytime soon. And without regular playing time, Susac becomes someone difficult to roster even in the very deepest of leagues. Next, we have outfielder Spencer Jones, who did all he could, but the Yankees lost on the south side of Chicago. He went 2 for 4 with a run, a home run, 4 runs batted in, and a steal to complete the combo meal. It was his 3rd homer of the year and his 2nd steal. The homer went 380 feet at 105 miles per hour. And Jones is back in the majors with Cody Bellinger on the IL, and he's doing his best to secure a spot on the roster when the outfield returns to full health. That means Aaron Judge and Bellinger back in the lineup, though Jones in that situation would likely be on the bench. And that's because he's a very extreme player, similar to Joey Gallo, where he's going to impact the ball, take his walks, and strike out more than anyone in baseball, which makes him a true 3-outcome player. Jones is not the worst play in deep leagues if you're just looking for home runs. Power is not an issue. The issue is that he strikes out 40% of the time and will struggle to keep his batting average above the Mendoza line. Jones is also limited to facing only right-handed pitchers, so he's on the strong side of a platoon, but he won't get that full amount of playing time that he needs to maximize his prodigious power. And there are really very few leagues where Jones's skill set plays. Lastly, we have shortstop Andrew Monasterio, who helped the Red Sox to a win in Sacramento, going 3 for 4 with a run, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his 6th homer of the year, and it traveled 428 feet at 103 miles per hour. One of the main pieces in the Kyle Harrison trade with the Brewers this past offseason, Monasterio is establishing himself as a player to pay attention to. He's taken over shortstop every day for the Red Sox with Trevor Story on the IL, and he's displayed a consistent ability to get to barrels despite a lack of raw power, which usually manifests in bat speed or max exit velocity. He's proven capable of getting barrels. He's got a 10% barrel rate this year, and that's led to 6 homers in just 67 games, which if you parse that out over a full season, that's about 15 plus home runs, which is not too shabby for a guy that I don't think many people have paid much attention to over the past couple of years. He's also displayed improved contact and plate discipline, making Monasterio a well-rounded hitter, which is usually just best suited for deeper leagues where his volume plays up more. As long as Monasterio's playing, I think he's worth rostering if you're desperate for players with positional versatility. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Wednesday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Jacob Lopez, who did all he could, but the A's lost to the Red Sox. He tossed 5 1/3 innings, allowing 7 hits and 1 run, walking 2 while striking out 8. He induced 19 whiffs with 34% CSW across 97 pitches, and Lopez earned the gallows pull by leading baseball with 19 whiffs on Wednesday. Lopez is looking like he's kicking off another incredible second half hot streak. Last year's was much more impressive, but Lopez still has 2 more months to top it. Coming off a start of 5 shutout frames, Lopez came out with a season high 8 strikeouts and 19 whiffs on Wednesday. And that's pretty surprising given that his velocity was down at his already low velocity. That meant Lopez was sitting below 90 miles per hour. The lefty mashing Red Sox had no answer for it, though, whiffing on 9 four-seamers and fanning 5 times against the fastball. They did a pretty decent job of damaging sliders and cutters in the zone, recording 6 hits and 1 homer against them, but they were still effective with 35% CSW and 75% strikes. Lopez is still missing his changeup, though. He's sort of refusing to throw it. That's likely because he doesn't have the feel for the pitch right now, and that really makes me question the sustainability of his effectiveness against right-handed batters, and as well as calling Sutter Health Park home. That's a huge red flag, but it may be worth jumping in on Lopez now in deeper leagues, as the ceiling he displayed last year during his second half hot streak was worth rostering universally. Next, we have Eduardo Rodriguez, who helped the Diamondbacks to win in Pittsburgh, tossing 8 shutout innings, allowing 5 hits and 1 walk while striking out 2. He induced 15 whiffs with 24% CSW across 105 pitches, and Rodriguez continued the first half success that earned him an all-star selection. His first second half start was his worst of the season, suggesting he had been knocked out of his rhythm and would have a regression-laden second half, but Rodriguez is locked right back in and looks poised to parlay his exceptional command into a season-long Vargas rule. The sub 17% strikeout rate on the season is a red flag, as I don't expect Rodriguez to maintain pristine command all year to produce the weak contact he needs to survive with such a heavy reliance on batted balls. But we're not going to stop starting him anytime soon, so send him out there versus the Padres up next. And lastly, we have Randy Dobnak, who helped the Royals to win in Minnesota, tossing 7 scoreless innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 walk while striking out 4. He induced 8 whiffs with 23% CSW across 101 pitches. And when a random arm gets off to such a hot start, it's worth pondering its sustainability and that player's fantasy viability. Dobnak has pitched to a 1.04 ERA in 5 games this year, though he's never been fantasy relevant in years past. The only difference this year is a new sweeper that has actually been pretty effective in the CSW department, taking the load off his sinker and changeup. Even with that change and the surface level success, it's easy to look at Dobnak's 13% strikeout rate thus far and suggest he's not worth rostering. And really, at his best, he's just going to be a Toby. If you want to Vargas roll this versus the Twins next, I think that's sort of fine with me, not just because Dobnak just took down the Mets, but also because they'll be without Byron Buxton again. But I don't think Dobnak is somebody I want to put the faith and fate of my fantasy team in his hands. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Wednesday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Pete Fairbanks recorded his 15th save with a perfect ninth. Brandon Garcia pitched a hitless ninth for his second save. Is he the first man up? I think Brandon Garcia is definitely the best reliever in the Diamondbacks bullpen right now, and the Diamondbacks announced that Paul Sewald will be removed from the closer role, but I'd expect it to be more of a committee, especially if Garcia gets the first opportunity here. He's the only southpaw in that Diamondbacks bullpen, so it'd be surprising if he's just the outright closer the rest of the way. They've got other options like Juan Murillo, who's been one of their best relievers this year. Kevin Ginkel has the most experience in a late inning role, so I think the trio there could be mixing into the ninth inning. I would probably put my money on Murillo over Garcia, though if we'll see how things work out over the next week. Louis Varland had a scoreless 6-out save, his 23rd of the year. Andrew Kittredge got the final out of the 12th inning for his 4th save. Devin Williams recorded his 15th save with a scoreless 9th. Mason Miller had a perfect ninth for his NL leading 28th save of the season. Brian Baker recorded his 29th save with a scoreless 9th. Raisel Iglesias pitched a perfect ninth for his 22nd save. Brian Abreu had a perfect 4-out save, his 7th of the year. Greg Weissert pitched a perfect 10th for his first save. Aroldis Chapman pitched a scoreless ninth in a tie game in that one to earn his second win. And lastly, Edwin Diaz worked around a run to record his fifth save. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Kenley Jansen pitched a hitless ninth in a tie game. The Tigers would go on to lose in 12 innings. Cade Smith pitched a hitless ninth with a 5-run lead. The Guardians are off today, so they just got him some work. Grant Taylor recorded 7 outs across the 9th, 10th, and 11th to allow the White Sox to win that one in 12 innings. A pretty impressive performance from Grant Taylor against the Yankees. Riley O'Brien pitched a hitless ninth in a tie game that the Cardinals would lose in 10 innings. And lastly, Jacob Webb struck out the side in order while pitching the 8th in a tie game. The Cubs would go on to lose in 10 innings. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's daily articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Thursday, July 30th, a day in which we'll have just 10 games on our slate. My matchup of the day is Eury Perez versus Nolan McLean, two young pitchers who have been at their peak recently. It's an interdivision matchup as well. It should be a great start to watch, Eury Perez versus Nolan McLean. In terms of probable starters, we've got 3 guys in the auto start tier, including Perez and McLean. We've also got Shane McClanahan versus the Rangers. Our probably starts tier has 4 guys. Our questionable starts tier has 2 guys, and our do not start tier has 11 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day. You got to be really desperate to go for this one, but it's Noah Cameron in Minnesota. We talked about the Buxton List twins. That lineup is not going to be very strong, and I think Cameron as a lefty is going to have more success against the Twins, but he's proven very volatile this year. He has, though, proven to be capable of racking up some strikeouts when he can command his changeup well. So if you're really desperate for strikeouts and you can afford the ratio hit, maybe go for Cameron there. And if you're really desperate, keep an eye out for Bailey Ober across from Noah Cameron. He's really the only other option. It's a pretty bleak day if you're looking for streamers in leagues where the pitching is pretty picked through. So Noah Cameron in Minnesota, Bailey Ober on the other side versus the Royals. If you're looking for pitchers with an opener, Marco Gonzalez is likely to be the bulk reliever for the Rangers in Tampa Bay, and Hunter Barco is likely to pitch with an opener in Cincinnati for the Pirates. In terms of hitter suggestions, I target Rays hitters versus the aforementioned Marco Gonzalez. He hasn't pitched in the majors since 2024, and he had an 8.16 ERA at AAA. I'd also target Royals and Twins hitters in Target Field. I told you they were desperate streams, but I want to target hitters against Noah Cameron and Bailey Ober. Both of these guys are prone to blow up, so it could be a huge offensive day for the Royals and Twins. I'd also target Pirates and Reds hitters in Great American Ballpark because it's one of the best offensive parks in baseball, and we'll see a couple of pitchers who are not super inspiring. We'll see the aforementioned Hunter Barco, who's pitching with an opener, and Rhett Lauder, who has been prone to blowups this year as well. And lastly, I target Red Sox and A's hitters in Sutter Health Park, one of the most fortunate parks for hitters. We'll see Sonny Gray square off against Mason Barnett in that one. And in terms of relievers to watch, we'll close things out with that as Pete Fairbanks has pitched on back-to-back days. So Michael Peterson would be the first man up, but he's been dealing with a contusion on his elbow, so he might still be out. I think it's on his forearm, actually, but that would mean Calvin Fauché would be the best option for a save out of the Marlins bullpen. And lastly, Mason Miller has pitched on back-to-back days and in 3 of the past 4. So Adrian Morejon should be your best bet at a save out of the Padres bullpen on Thursday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler, where I do daily SP streamers and I break down every single start via the Pitcher List Stats player cards. Tune into YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. Carson Picard will be with you tomorrow and throughout the weekend, and make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.